Hey, it's Cordell of Eat Better Now and Eating Well with Chef Cordell Consulting. You can always find me online at eatbetternow.org and chefcordell.com. So today's focus is going to be on one of my favorite straight out the can soups, minestrone soup. As a child, I loved it straight out the can. It was very healthy, very quick to make. This is going to take a little bit more time, but will be more flavorful and definitely healthier. But before we get started, let's take a look at the prep and equipment needed. For our minestrone soup, we're going to use about 4 tablespoons of some olive oil divided, 1 onion chopped, about 2 medium carrots peeled and chopped, and you want to cut them relatively small, maybe a 1/4 inch or so small, maybe to like a 1/2 inch is fine. About 2 medium ribs of celery chopped as well, a 1/4 cup of tomato paste, about 2 cups of chopped seasonal vegetables. Those could be potatoes, squash, zucchini, green beans, peas, or the like. We're going to use squash and zucchini. About 4 garlic cloves minced, about a 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano or fresh thyme. You can use either dried or fresh. The recipe calls for dried, but if you have fresh, just cut it in half. You want to use about 128-ounce can of diced tomatoes with their liquid. About 4 cups of vegetable broth, 2 cups of water, a teaspoon of salt, a couple of bay leaves, a pinch of red pepper flakes, some black pepper to taste, 1 cup of elbow pasta, 1 15-ounce can of either great northern beans or cannellini beans, rinsed and drained, about 2 cups of chopped kale, or any other dark green leafy vegetable is fine, but we're going to use kale. A couple of teaspoons of lemon juice and a little bit of Parmesan for garnishing if you choose to, okay? So, our first step is to come to our Dutch oven, and we're going to put this on a medium heat. And I've already added my olive oil to this. So as this is getting hot, I'm next going to add my onions, carrots, celery, tomato paste, and a pinch of salt, okay? All right, so I got my onions in, my chopped celery in. I'm going to add our carrots, and of course this is going to be the base of our soup here. We're also going to add our tomato paste and a pinch of salt. We're going to stir this here frequently, and we're going to let this cook for about 6 to 8 minutes or until the vegetables are slightly softened. Now that our vegetables have been cooking for about 8 minutes or so and have become slightly softened, now we're going to add our seasonal vegetables. As I said, I'm using zucchini and squash. We're going to stir that in. We're also going to stir in our oregano, our thyme, and we're going to add some garlic to this as well. We're going to really extract some really good flavor out of this, but we're adding some really good flavors to it now as well. Okay, now notice we haven't added any salt to this. There is a reason. If you add salt too early when you're making a soup, in the end, it'll turn out to be really salty, and you got to be careful with that, okay? So now we've added that to it. We're going to stir this up here and let this cook for about 2 minutes. Now that the seasonal vegetables, garlic, and herbs have been cooking for a couple of minutes, now we're going to add our diced tomatoes and their juices. And then we're also going to add 4 cups of broth and 2 cups of water, okay? There's our 2 cups of water here. And then we're also going to add our 4 cups of broth. We're going to add a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt. We're going to add our bay leaves and our red pepper flakes. All right. This is going to be a lot of soup that we're going to have. Definitely, but at this time of year, soup is always a go-to for me. I can definitely say that. And just a little bit, some crushed red pepper. Now after this, if you want to taste it and then maybe add some black pepper to it, that's perfectly fine. Just don't add a lot of salt at this point. We just added just a bit. It's hugely important, okay? Now we're going to stir this up here. We're going to raise up the heat and we're going to partially cover this in order to get it to a boil, okay? That may take, you know, maybe 6 to 8 minutes or so. But we're going to cover this up, leave a little bit of a gap there on the side, and let it come to a boil. Now that our minestrone soup has reached a nice gentle simmer, the last things that we're going to do is add our pasta. We're going to add our beans, and then we're going to stir in our greens as well, okay? And now we're going to just cook this uncovered for about 20 minutes or so, coming back to stir it occasionally until the pasta is cooked all of the way. And now that the pasta for our minestrone soup has been cooking for about 20 minutes and it's tender and the greens are tender, we've taken it off of the eye. I've taken the bay leaves out as well. Make sure that you do that, very important. Now I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice in. I'm going to add the other tablespoon of olive oil that we saved to the side. I'm going to mix this up. And of course, you want to taste it to adjust it to your liking. Just remember, do not oversalt this right now. As this sits overnight, the flavors will become stronger. So resist the temptation to get it to exactly how you want it right now. All right? So now we'll just take this. We'll pour this here into our bowl. And if you want to, add a little bit of Parmesan to the top to it here. And we will have a delicious minestrone soup. Nice and homemade, flavorful. You know everything is fresh and in season. See you soon.